Man, you know what I was out of that weight? What? No, sorry, someone just made body contact with Crosby. What were you gonna say? Let's go! Good. We all feel Stop! Never gets rusty!
What am I doing?
Into my kitchen! Producer Drew, can you fix all this? And when it comes to the Toronto Maple Leafs, you can crumple, yeet! Saw that going differently. With you wherever you are, welcome to LFR. Victory, puppy Ziggy! We're doing it. We're doing the tricks. Here we go. Fade away. Oh, yeah! All time. All time. Oh! Leafs win! 3-2 in overtime over the Pittsburgh Penguins. Penguins fans, I gotta do this. If I were you, it's not even Penguins fans if I were you. I'm just directly addressing Pittsburgh Penguins fans. Pens fans, we go back. We go back a long time. Obviously, this is a channel by a Leafs fan for Leafs fans, but lots of other people like to tag along, and I know a bunch of Penguins fans are here right now. You've always been there. The Penguins won the Stanley Cup in 2009. You were in the final in 2008. I started my channel in 2007. A lot of you have been here since the beginning, pretty much. The first two Stanley Cup finals I made videos for featured the Penguins. In 2016 happened, 2017, Phil Kessel, an era wasted! And for that reason, I cannot help but have a little bit of a soft spot for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think the story of the Pittsburgh Penguins is amazing, especially over the last few weeks. You're focusing on Sidney Crosby, but also, oh my goodness, this Herculean rise, like a phoenix from the ashes into what could potentially be a playoff spot. And it would be a fantastic story, and producer Drew, he keeps waxing on about what if the Leafs win in the first round, and then also the Penguins, and then in the second round, it's Leafs versus Penguins, Leafs versus Dubas, Treliving versus Dubas. And if the cards fall that way, then that's just how it is. However, let me be petty for a minute, because people don't forget, and I am people. Let me take you back. I'll take you all the way back to April of 2017. What was going on in April 2017? Well, the Pittsburgh Penguins were the reigning defending Stanley Cup champs. For the Leafs, it's the second last game of the season. The Penguins are missing a number of regulars from their lineup, which is good news for the hosting Toronto Maple Leafs, who, in game 81 of their season, are trying to clinch a playoff spot. Now, as you might remember, Connor Brown ended up scoring one late. Curtis McElhinney with a ridiculous save on Sidney Crosby super late to seal the win. Auston Matthews getting his 40th of the season, his first 40-goal season in his first season with the empty netter. What happened before that? What happened before all that is the Pittsburgh Penguins take a 3-2 lead. Puck goes in off of Jake Gardiner. I'm stressed. Kasperi Kapanen, the former Penguin, ends up tying it, but even before that, it's the first period. The puck goes off of James Van Riemsdyk up high as he's crossing the blue line. It ends up being a ridiculous setup for himself to get the Leafs on the board. And the Penguins challenged it for offside! Specifically, Mike Sullivan. So, the Penguins finished 7 points below the Washington Capitals, 3 points up on the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Leafs are fighting for their playoff lives. Mike, you're being a jerk! And a little bit of time passes, and well, who needs to make the playoffs now? Tell you what, here's 1 point in the standings just to show you there's no hard feelings, but don't forget. Now, the bad news is the Leafs ended the first period, having been outplayed pretty much the whole time, down 1-0, but the good news is the Leafs are not a footnote in that Sidney Crosby got his 1,000th assist against them, which I kind of thought might happen. So did you. Stop. The only goal of the period of Evgeny Malkin picking up the assist, Ilya Lyubushkin, Morgan Rielly, that pair does not look good on this one. But, and there's always a but, some bigger than others. My old chemistry teacher used to like to say that. Rickard Rakell with the spin and fire on Ilya Samsonov, and I'm sorry, that's just kind of a sick goal. Now, you're usually able to score sick goals when the other team doesn't play great defense in front of you, but that's a sick goal. And of course, Rickard Rakell, who the Anaheim Ducks drafted with a draft pick that the Toronto Maple Leafs gave them in a trade that involved Tyler Biggs. Hooray! He gets his 200th career NHL goal against the Leafs. It's true. The Leafs traded 2 draft picks in order to move up and get one. They drafted Tyler Biggs with that draft pick. The 2 draft picks that the Ducks got turned into Rickard Rakell and John Gibson. Oh, I'm dying! Anyway, Leafs outshot 10-5 5 in the first. The Leafs have had a few pretty lackluster first periods recently. But, and there's always a but, some bigger than others, the Leafs usually follow it up with a pretty good second period, and they tie it up. Look at this, look at this. This is beautiful, and this has been a trend recently for both of these players. You have TJ Brodie in the offensive zone where he's actually been making magic recently, even though he's in an amazing goal drought. He's setting up plays, and he's setting up plays to who? Matthew Knies. He's too big to move, and he's too skilled to miss. The other thing I wanted to shout out on this Matthew Knies goal, yes, it is a slick TJ Brodie pass. It is a beautiful Matthew Knies goal. Looky right here. Looky right here in the crease. That is Pontus Holmberg absolutely bullying a defenseman out of the way to open up this lane for Brodie and Knies. That is the sort of thing that makes you a dependable player in the National Hockey League. That is the sort of thing that makes a coach consider putting you in the Game 1 lineup during the playoffs. And if you're not in the Game 1 lineup, but someone goes down, that is the sort of thing that makes the coach and the fan base perfectly at home with you in the lineup. Great from Pontus Holmberg. Love that stuff. Now, that was a better period overall. The Leafs score a goal. They don't allow one. The shots are 9-9. Wasn't great, though, because up until the end of the second period, here were the penalties. Simon Benoit tripping against Michael Bunting, but by the way, that's how I knew he was really gone. I couldn't accept that he wasn't a Leaf anymore. I saw him in a Hurricanes jersey. I still thought he was a Leaf. I saw him in a Penguins jersey. I still thought he was a Leaf. And then I saw him actually draw a penalty again, and I'm like, oh, maybe he's really gone. Anyway, Simon Benoit tripping against Michael Bunting. Ilya Lyubushkin boarding against Riley Smith. That one was a bit unfortunate. William Nylander holding against Sidney Crosby. Oh, later in that penalty kill, Rickard Rakell slashing against Mitch Marner. We got one. Hey. Oh, later on, Mark Giordano tripping against Jeff Carter and Jake McCabe interference against Sidney Crosby. That's the old 5-1, as Paul Maurice would say. For some reason, in a playoff game that his team was winning by 2 goals with 30 seconds left. I still don't really know why he was mad about that. I know Penguins fans and Leaf fans have very differing opinions of what happened here. Penguins fans think their power play was simply bad. And you know what? Probably. Dude, it's been bad. With the exception of a few stretches this year, bad. Leafs penalty kill, also bad, but rising and rising lately. And part of the reason is practice, because they've been taking a ton of penalties. And they were very lucky to not get a double minor against Sidney Crosby during a weird little stretch where they were blowing every play dead. Here's what happened. There's a puck in the air. 2 guys want the puck. Sidney Crosby wants the puck. Bobby McMahon wants the puck. By the way, you know how we always talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins pulling guys out of nowhere with names like Mark Donk and Buzz Flibbit? We have one now. His name's Bobby McMahon, and he's wonderful. Anyway, Bobby McMahon swings at the puck with his stick. Sidney Crosby swings at the puck with his face. No, really, his face was just sort of there. Crack goes Bobby McMahon's stick right into Sidney Crosby's face. Whistle. And they call it a 4-minute double minor, which is clever, because no one knew if that was the puck or the stick. So 4-minute double minor, they're able to review that. They review it and find in between Bobby McMahon's stick and Sidney Crosby's face was the puck. Now, it's not high sticking because Bobby McMahon did not technically hit Sidney Crosby in the face with his stick. It's not high sticking, but it is a high stick because you can't play the puck that high. Well, if you can't play the puck that high, why isn't it a penalty? Because it's not. It's not a penalty to play the puck that high. It's just you play the puck and you're not supposed to, and if you're the next person to touch the puck, or any of your teammates are, the play is blown dead. I know Penguins fans didn't love that. First of all, the penalties were 5-1 in your favor when it happened, so shut up! Counter argument, maybe the Leafs should stop taking penalties. Fine, fair! Also, common sense says that is clearly high sticking. Obviously, he swung a stick at a guy's face, but the rulebook says, no. No, it isn't. Referees are charged with enforcing the rule book and not common sense, and I think you're starting to see the problem. Anyway, we head into the third with a tied game 1-1. Minute 19 into the third period. There was only one penalty. You want to take a wild guess who it was against? You're right, it was the Penguins. Erik Karlsson, not William Karlsson, who's on Vegas. Erik Karlsson takes a tripping penalty on William Nylander. There it is. And it's literally John Tavares wins it back to Austin Matthews, who's standing on one leg, and just, it's a piss missile. Like, look at this. Like, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Ah! Like, the puck it's trickling to Matthews in slow motion. This isn't a pass. This is not a pass. It's a face-off win. John Tavares wins the puck vaguely in the direction of Austin Matthews, right? And it's trickling there, and no one races after it because they're all terrified of Austin Matthews. He takes like a lazy-looking clapper off of one leg, and the only thing you can really say is maybe Nedeljkovic was blocked by his own guy, and he's got 65 now! That's the second time in a week Austin Matthews has scored a power play goal from that spot less than 5 seconds into a power play. He's not real. He's AI. He's a mutant. He's not of this planet. Maybe the Penguins heard if you stare directly at Austin Matthews' shot, but you don't use those special glasses, you go blind. What do you mean that's something else? Oh, I wish you told me that earlier. Call my doctor. Anyway, the Leafs take the lead, and that's how the game does not end because it can't, because it's Toronto, and it's gotta be exciting. Just like that game from 2017. Generally speaking, I don't think the Leafs played terrible defense in this game. This one's obviously not very good. The Penguins go to where goals are scored. That is the net. Jake McCabe is there. Simone Benoit is not. And you can see from Benoit's reaction, he is very upset. Not really giving a whole lot of help to Sammy there, and the Penguins tie it up. We go to overtime. Now, let me say this before describing overtime. Mike Sullivan's taking a lot of heat, and the reason he's taking a lot of heat is Sidney Crosby never saw the ice in the whole 90 seconds or so of overtime, and that's obviously unacceptable. Apparently, Mike Sullivan said after the game it was Sidney Crosby having a skate issue. That's why he didn't start overtime, and that's actually believable because earlier in the game, the broadcast, at very least in Canada, showed Sidney Crosby getting hurt and changing his skate on the bench earlier in the game. Whatever the excuse was, Sheldon Keefe and his coaching staff stuffed the Penguins coaching staff into a locker. Austin Matthews starts out there. He's going up against Lars Eller. As soon as I see what the Penguins are going out there with the exception of Erik Karlsson, I'm like, okay, they're just gonna rag the puck the second they get it. And they weren't overly aggressive about it. They're like, we're gonna hold on to it until that mutant Austin Matthews gets off the ice, and then he does, which we're not used to seeing. He gets off after about 30 seconds. Who comes over the boards to replace him? A matchup that we're not really used to seeing out there in overtime. William Nylander and Mitch Marner get out there together. They're out there with TJ Brodie, who again, playing really well, looking pretty good, commanding that puck. With possession of said puck, at some point, Brodie is replaced by Jake McCabe, and William Nylander sneaks off. Austin Matthews comes back on, and he's reunited with Mitch Marner. After a little bit of possession in the Penguin zone, it's not really leading to anything too concrete. And Mitch Marner, at the end of a decently long shift, at least when they're trying to keep short shifts, he's going off. Tyler Bertuzzi is about to hop on, but here comes the puck over to Mitch Marner, and no Penguin really in sight. Bertuzzi says maybe not, and he stays on the bench. Mitch Marner stays on the ice, gives it to Austin Matthews, which that's what I would have done. I'm going to pass it to the best goal scorer in the world. That's a great idea. Do you want to see the kind of respect that the best goal scorer in the world has, by the way, like just around the league, and especially from the Penguins? Dude, it's like Jake McCabe doesn't exist. And I love that Matthews is trying to score 70 goals, but like, this is proof that he's not being selfish about it. This is like literally getting to have your cake and eat it too. Austin Matthews scores a goal in this game, and he knows, everyone knows that he's trying to score 70. So he's like, cool, I'm gonna use that opportunity to set up my teammates. Gives it to Jake McCabe, how you done? Nice little move on Nedeljkovic. He buries it, and then the camera in like record time goes to Dubas and Spezza. And then the second I saw this shot of Jason Spezza, I was like, you know what? I don't feel like laughing anymore. I actually feel sad. And then the camera went back to Jake McCabe and the Leafs, and I was like, that's great. Questions. 2 parts. Oh, you're cheeky. Number 1, wasn't that shot at the end with Spezza and Dubas's face wonderful? And 2, if the Pens missed the playoffs by 1 point because of this game, wouldn't that be even more wonderful? Ciao! I don't know, man. Like, listen, there are lots of things that Dubas did that annoyed me. There are lots of things that he did that I really liked and defended for a long time. At the end of the season press conference last year that ultimately got him fired, he talked about his family. And that dude went to Pittsburgh. He took the job as president and GM. He has the power to hire a GM if he wants. And like $7 million a year. That's looking after your family. Hey, here, let me ask you this. You want $7 million a year? Yeah, so do I. Like, dude, I'd take that job. And Jason Spezza, I mean, how could you ever be mad at Jason Spezza? How dare you? As for the Penguins missing the playoffs by 1 point, ooh, well, now we know that if the Penguins did miss the playoffs by 1 point, it's potentially because Sidney Crosby had a wonky skate. That's tough lore. This isn't a question, it's just something neat to point out from NHL PR. Ilya Samsonov extended his winning streak to 5 games for the second time this season. 6 games played from February 7th to 24th, and became the first Maple Leafs goaltender with as many stretches in a campaign since Frederik Andersen, who had 3 in 2018-19. Fewest games to 50 wins in franchise history. Curtis Joseph and Frederik Andersen tied with 92. George Hainsworth with 88. He played in like the 1920s. Ed Belfour with 87. Ilya Samsonov now second in 80 games. And Jack Campbell had the fastest with 75. That's it. Here he is, right here. Ilya Samsonov. Have some smile, Sammy. So what does that stat mean? Well, Campbell holds the record, so nothing, apparently. But it's pretty impressive considering where we thought Samsonov's season was going. Dude, he's straight up good. Like, I watched the highlights for Game 6 between the Leafs and Lightning this morning, because I'm a sicko, and also I'm trying to indoctrinate my 3-year-old. And Sammy was unreal in that game. I almost forgot how good he was in that series. Dude, he was bad for a little bit in the fall, and he's been great, like, since January, like the beginning of January. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, what do you think heading into... I don't need any more proof. What? He gave us a full season of proof last year, and he's given us like 3 or 4 straight months this year. Well, what else do you need? He's good. He's at very least adequate. We already know he's good enough to win a playoff series with, at least. This question is just thoughts, but it's 2 tweets from Bob Grove. Number 1, Bunting had 4 shots on 5 attempts in the opening period. He's had 12 shots in his last 7 periods at this point. Dude, I know the Jake Gensel trade was viewed as like a really dark moment for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they're packing it up and they're conceding defeat. We already know that's not true. They've had like their best stretch of the season and they just might make the playoffs. Buried in there, Michael Bunting's been fantastic. He's been absolutely unreal. I saw a stat the other day, I don't know if it's still true, that he was scoring at a 66-point pace since joining the Penguins. That's just Leafs Michael Bunting, who was playing with Matthews and stuff. And now he's with Malkin. Like, he keeps getting these opportunities, and there's obviously a reason for it. You know, people say the same thing about Zach Hyman. Oh, he's playing with McDavid. He was previously playing with Matthews. And what that tells me is he's good enough to play with McDavid and Matthews. Last but not least, because I wanted to, not a question, just wanted to say congrats on getting the button for 100K subs for SDPN Sports. You guys rock. Yeah, we got our button today. The button is on display for this channel. It's up in this corner. I don't know if you've ever noticed it. Maybe I should feature it somewhere more prominent, but I also don't want to take any of my Leaf stuff off the wall. But here's me with Adam and our very tall friend, Jesse. Are Steve and Adam short, or is Jesse just 6'4"? He's just 6'4". Yeah, this is awesome. It felt really good to get this plaque today. I've said it before, I'll say it again. We're tiny little company, and we're trying really hard to bring you the best stuff. Like, the audience is growing. More and more people are watching and listening every day. I have full faith in what we're doing. Now, business-wise, things are obviously up and down. But man, people dig us. People like our stuff. You guys are the best. And I think with you guys by our side, we'll be able to do great things. A Leaf Stanley Cup would help. That would be very helpful. For now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you liked this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. April 2017. People don't forget.